All right, ladies and gents, we are live, and you are not going to believe what the UK government, prison service, and Ministry of Justice, and the ministers and everyone are planning next. Just wait, we'll get into this in a moment. So that is going to be our top story today, although somehow this was the top story. A blue pigeon baffling Berkshire residents. How that's a main story that I saw as a main headline, I don't know. It seems to be some sort of a weird distraction going on today. A blue pigeon. But anyway, okay, let's get started then. You're not going to believe what's happening today. In fact, this is an ongoing story. So you can see I'm a little unprepared because I've got so many stories, and I was just listening to the Justice Minister as she's commenting on this story as I was about to go live. So let me start with what we know for sure, and then we'll go on to the sort of grey area that they're saying now. And this is around this prison early release scheme, because the MOJ has just admitted that this is going to include a number of serious offenders. So they've issued a warning, and this has been released to the media, so the public should be aware there's going to be a number of serious offenders released. Now, the government said it's 1,500 that are going to be released on the 10th of September. The Ministry of Justice said it's 2,000, and that the government is underdoing the numbers by 500. So why is this discrepancy coming up? Well, there's two discrepancies: numbers, and then the government said it will only be people being released for minor crime. But the MOJ says, no, it's actually not. There's a number of these are for serious crimes. And the reason why is because they said if someone commits a serious offence, but they're also prosecuted for some minor offences, they say if they're charged for the serious offence first, and then they're charged for the minor offence, then the government is doing it based on the last offence. And that's what the MOJ has done this massive report on, saying that the government haven't done this correctly, and that there's a number of, and I'm not even going to say some of the things some of these people have done, being released at just 40% of their sentence. And it is a difficult situation. Do I think it's crazy? Yeah, I think it's absolutely nuts. But at the same time, the Labour government have just taken over. So you can't point the finger at them and say it's their fault, because the Conservative government has been in power for a long time in the UK and they didn't fix the problem. So you can't really point the finger at, not that I like Labour, but let me just add, but this is the difficult situation. The Conservatives should have done something about this situation. So let's just go through what is happening, and then I'm just amazed at what their proposal is next. This isn't the crazy part. It gets crazier. So I'll begin with this story then. This is the first one. Some serious offenders will be eligible for early release under a scheme to free up prison space in England and Wales. And this is because of they've just imprisoned 1,000 people in the last 4 weeks. It doesn't say why that's taken place. Facebook posts and riots, but that's the reason. That is the reason that this is taking place. Officials said prisoners serving a sentence for a less serious crime could leave after completing 40% of it, even if that sentence immediately followed one for a serious crime. And it lists some of the crimes here, which I won't even speak over YouTube. It's pretty serious stuff. But let me just throw this out there. Ladies and gents, be prepared for this, because the Prison Officers Association, or I'm not sure if it's the association or individual prison officers, have said, everyone be careful, because when these people are released, they're talking about there's going to be a massive crime wave or spike. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm just reading some of the statements and comments coming out from them. But they're definitely concerned. A lot of prison officers are concerned as well. How we've got to this point in the UK, I mean, it's wild what's happening in the UK right now. I don't even recognize the country anymore with how it's all falling apart. So a spokesman has said the new government inherited a justice system in crisis, with prisons on the point of collapse, it's been forced to introduce an early release scheme to stop a crisis that would have overwhelmed the criminal justice system, meaning we'd no longer be able to lock up dangerous criminals and protect the public. Well, I don't know if the public are being completely protected anyway at the moment. The government has also set out plans to recruit 1,000 new trainee probation officers by March of 2025 to meet increasing demand. Increasing demand, interesting. Early releases are planned to start next week under the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, announced in July that prisons were running out of spaces. And she said the system is now on the point of collapse. It's at capacity. It's 100% full now. Especially they're just doing the new prosecutions at the moment of some of the people from the riots. One guy has just got 9 years. He's just got a 9-year prison sentence for what he did at these riots. Under Labour's scheme, then, offenders can leave prison after serving just 40% of their sentence. The scheme will be released after 18 months, and they're expecting about 5,500 people to be released just in September and October alone. So it's going to be 2,000 released in 4 days' time on the 10th of September. But then it's going to be 5,500 released in September and October, which is really worrying. And then when we get on to the probation officers' statements, this report, this is even more worrying, what they've said. The National Association of Probation Officers has said the plans pose a severe risk to the public. That is their statement of what they have said about this. In fact, let's go on to this story actually, because I think this is important. Some probation officers have been given a week's notice of serious offenders being released into their area. 2,000 prisoners are expected to be let out on Tuesday amid warnings of a coming spike in serious crime. But members of the Probation Officers Union were only informed on the 3rd of September this would include serious offenders being released into their supervision. And they said that for a serious offender, you'd usually have 3 months to prepare the services to help monitor and rehabilitate them. But they said they've only got a few days, and they said it's just not going to be possible. This is the statement. Tanya Bassett, a national official at NAPO, which is one of the prison officers' unions, said our members from across the UK have not been given 8 weeks to prepare for the high risk of harm of some very dangerous offenders, not criminals, offenders. In some cases, other members were told on Tuesday, a week before the early release date, that serious offenders would be released in their area. There have previously been serious incidents after prisoners were released on license, including someone called Jordan McSweeney, who murdered someone 2 days after he'd been recalled to prison. The union said some members have said the early release scheme has left them feeling further exposed to persecution if their clients commit a serious offence. We don't feel safe, we don't feel protected, the service doesn't care about us, they've said. About 300 offenders on probation commit serious further offences every year. This is in a typical year, they are saying, about 300. And they are usually violent or sexual offences, which make them a particular risk to the public. They said, but 2,000 being released all at once and 5,500 by October, and then it just says ... I think we can read the writing on the wall of that one. So if 300 cause that sort of issues, what is 5,500 going to do? I think this is why they are making these statements and letting people know they've got a concern. But, well, we'll see. Now, this is where the story gets pretty wild and weird. And I want to come on to another country that's about to do the exact same thing. They're about to release 20,000 prisoners. And it makes me wonder if more EU countries are about to do this. Is this some sort of a calculated plan, or is it just a case of one country seeing the UK doing it and they're now saying, oh, that looks like a good idea. If they're doing it, we're going to do it. Another country is about to release 20,000 prisoners. This is not a joke. So this is what the plan and all the talk has been today. All day it's just been about this, which is to send the prisoners, UK prisoners, over to Estonia, because they say in Estonia they have a very low crime rate, they've got loads of capacity for prison space. Now, this was earlier, you may have seen this on some of the news, where Labour refuses to rule out sending prisoners to Estonia as the jail population hits capacity. So that was what they said earlier. And then it went on, and then there was all these articles. What's it like in the prisons? What are UK prisoners going to experience in Estonia? And then another article, ministers won't deny UK government may rent prison space in Estonia. And this is where it gets weird, and I mean really weird. A government minister has refused to deny reports that they're looking at sending the criminals convicted in England and Wales to Estonia to serve their prison sentences. The Ministry of Justice said we're looking at all viable options, and that includes sending prisoners to Estonia. So this was a statement made, right? Citing government sources, the Telegraph said the solution was definitely on the table. So this is what they said this morning, okay, this morning. And then Angela Eagle, Home Office Minister, she said she wouldn't comment directly, but she said that this is being looked at. So she said she wouldn't comment, but then she said it's being looked at. The last government closed loads of prison places and didn't replace any of them. So I think that colleagues in the MOJ will be considering anything they can to alleviate the problem. It then goes on to talk about Estonia, very low crime rates, etc. Now this is where it gets strange. Pacosta, who is, let me just tell you who this is. Okay, so this is the Justice Secretary for Estonia. So she had a meeting with Shabana Mahmood, the Justice Secretary of the UK, and then she made this statement. Okay, so this is the Estonian Justice Secretary. The UK and Estonia have a history of successful international cooperation, and such a partnership would create further opportunities to benefit and learn from each other. This is, again, I'm reading exactly word for word. The number of people in prison in England and Wales has risen from 40,000 in 1991 to more than 88,000, with an increase of more than 1,000 in the past 4 weeks. Okay, so she's saying that, yes, we are looking at this. She's spoken to Shabana Mahmood, and they talked it through, okay? Now, we've then had an announcement saying, absolutely not, there was no talks of this whatsoever, and we're not going to be doing it. So it's just come out, right? Just now they've said, no, we're not looking at this at all. So obviously they were looking at it. Why would Estonia Justice Secretary say that after just having a meeting with it? So they obviously are looking at it. It's really bizarre. And then it talks all about Estonian prisons. All the media put this out. Oh, this is what it's going to be like. They're only 67% full. Shabana Mahmood discussed the possibility in a meeting. They've just had this meeting. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense at all. They're saying that this could plug the gap, the €30 million gap in Estonia's finances. This is what they are talking about. And then, let me tell you about this one then. The Polish government have now said they want to also release 20,000 prisoners from jails, overcrowded jails. They said this is 1/4 of all those incarcerated because they have overcrowding. But also, have you seen the crime rate in Poland? I think there's a reason why their streets are so safe. If you ask anybody, people will tell you that the streets are pretty safe in Poland. You can walk around at night. You cannot do that in the UK in any major city that I am aware of. If you're aware of a major city in the UK that you can walk around late at night, please drop it in the comments, because maybe some people want to move there, but I'm not aware of any. So this is what they've said, Poland. My goal for this 4-year term is to reduce the number of prisoners by 20,000. This is the Deputy Justice Minister, Maria Ejshat. I can't pronounce that. The first justified releases have already taken place. I don't know what it means by justified, but okay. Prisons are overcrowded, she said. The reason is primarily the severity of the law and the policy of the previous government, according to which all crimes should be punished with imprisonment. But you look at their crime stats, it's incredibly low compared to other countries. So this is the thing I always talk about. When you are weak on crime, what do you end up with? Way more crime. When you are hard on crime, you send out a message that says to everyone else and other criminals, if you commit a crime in this country, you're going to jail, you're going to prison. But now there's no fear, especially in the UK, there's no fear because people know unless they do a Facebook post, then they're in big trouble, expect a big sentence. But people know, joking of course, but not really. People know that if they commit serious crimes, then they might, depends who the people are. Look at over in the US, some of these sanctuary cities I talked about as well. I was amazed from the research I've done at the moment that some of the people cannot be prosecuted in these sanctuary cities. It's quite unbelievable. But I think if Poland go down this line, other EU countries go down this line, there's going to be a lot of issues. If you release a lot of prisoners, you make the sentences less that they're talking about. Oh, it's okay. Commit a crime, only serve 40% of it. I think we're going to have some serious issues. And we'll leave it there, I think. Thanks so much for being online. Take care. God bless. And I'll see you on the next video.